Some boys don't grow up learning how to be loved. They grow up learning how to be strong. Strong enough not to cry. Strong enough not to ask for help. Strong enough to handle everything alone. And from the outside, it can look impressive. Disciplined, focused, independent. But behind that strength is often a quiet story most people never see. Because sometimes strength isn't something a boy chooses. Sometimes it's something he builds because he had no other choice. Imagine a boy sitting in a house where emotions are never really talked about. Maybe people argue a lot, or maybe they don't argue at all, just silence, cold silence. No one asks how he feels, no one really listens. So he slowly learns something important about the world. Feelings don't change anything, being tough does. And once that idea takes root in a young mind, it can shape an entire life. Every child needs two things growing up: safety and connection. Not just food or shelter, but the feeling that someone is there, someone who notices, someone who says, I see you. When that connection is missing, a child doesn't just stop needing it. The need doesn't disappear, it simply changes form. Instead of asking for love, the child learns to survive without it. Maybe he becomes the quiet kid, the one who never complains, the one who handles things on his own. Teachers might call him mature. Adults might say he's strong for his age. But what they're actually seeing is adaptation. A young mind learning that vulnerability doesn't get rewarded, so it gets buried. Think about someone you know like this. Or maybe think about yourself. The person who always seems calm, always composed, but somehow always a little distant, almost like there's a wall you can't quite see. Here's the strange part. When a boy learns strength instead of love, he often becomes very good at life. He becomes disciplined, reliable, focused on improvement. He works hard. Maybe he goes to the gym. Maybe he chases success. Maybe he pushes himself harder than everyone else. From the outside, it looks like ambition. But inside, something else is happening. He's trying to earn a feeling he never received naturally, the feeling of being enough. When love isn't freely given in childhood, the brain can start to believe something dangerous. If I become strong enough, valuable enough, successful enough, then maybe I'll finally deserve it. So the boy grows up constantly proving himself, not always to others, but to a quiet voice inside his head. And that voice never seems fully satisfied. No matter how much he achieves, no matter how strong he becomes, there's always another level to reach, another improvement to make, another reason to keep pushing. Slowing down feels uncomfortable, sometimes even scary. This is why many people who appear the strongest are also carrying the deepest loneliness, not the obvious kind, but the silent kind, where you're surrounded by people yet still feel like no one truly understands you. Opening up doesn't come naturally because it was never practiced. Relationships can become complicated too because love requires something strength alone never taught: vulnerability. Letting someone see the parts of you that aren't controlled, the uncertainty, the fear, the need. For someone who spent years building emotional armor, that can feel almost impossible. So instead, he does what he knows best. He stays composed, supportive, dependable. The strong one, the problem solver, the protector. Everyone appreciates him, but very few people actually see him. And here's the twist most people never realize. The strength he built to survive can accidentally keep love at a distance. The walls that protect you from pain also block connection. Have you ever noticed how some people are incredibly strong for everyone else but strangely uncomfortable when someone tries to care for them? Compliments make them uneasy, help feels unnecessary, dependence feels dangerous. Not because they don't want connection, but because their brain learned long ago that you're supposed to handle everything alone. Yet, underneath all that strength, the original need never disappeared. The need to be understood, the need to feel safe with someone, the need to finally relax, not as the strong one, but simply as a human being. Many men who learned strength instead of love eventually start realizing something in adulthood. The armor that once protected them is also exhausting. Holding everything inside takes energy. Always being the strong one takes energy. Pretending you're unaffected takes energy. And at some point, a quiet question begins to form. What would it feel like to not carry this alone? That moment matters because real strength isn't what many people were taught growing up. It isn't the ability to feel nothing. It isn't silence and it isn't isolation. Real strength is something much more difficult, letting someone see the parts of you that were hidden for years. For someone who grew up without emotional safety, that step can feel terrifying. But it's also the beginning of something new. The boy who learns strength instead of love doesn't have to stay trapped in that lesson forever. Strength doesn't have to disappear, it just has to evolve. Imagine combining that discipline, resilience, and determination with something he may have never fully experienced growing up: trust, connection, emotional honesty. That kind of strength looks different, quieter, but deeper. It's the strength to say, I am not okay today. The strength to let someone stand beside you. The strength to stop fighting the world alone. And maybe the most powerful realization of all is that the boy who had to become strong too early was never actually meant to do everything by himself. He just didn't know another way until now.